Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We are back on the updated dev server, which is going to be available for a few days for War Thunder. We're having a look at some of the other changes. These are mainly the ground changes that have happened in this dev server, and it's time to start with a pretty fun one. But before we do, make sure to subscribe to the channel, also like the video. Let's get started. First of all, the T72B3, or just like the T72s in general, they now have a new loading sound, which is pretty fun. They've also modified the T64's loading sound, but I'll just give you a listen to what this one sounds like, because I generally think it's actually really cool that they add in these little sound pieces around the place. So there you go. That is the kind of nice loading sound. And remember, they have also changed a bunch of like engine sounds and stuff like that too. One of the things that they've said that they're also bringing in is a new sound for the Type 10 instead of it being the same as the Type 90. Not entirely sure if it is actually in the dev server yet or if it's just the same, but I mean, we can test it, I suppose. There you go. This is what the Type 10 sounds like. Sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? Like, it's been really cool how they've been doing these like little individual sound changes as we've been going on. But I thought I would just kind of showcase some of them which are turning up. Now, let's talk about a very minor change that is going to be affecting all the Abramses. Technically, it's a nerf, but like it's an incredibly tiny nerf. So basically, with all of the Abramses, their 50 caliber machine gun, so this one right here, it used to have 1,000 rounds, now it has 900. So that's the big difference between them. Not going to make a huge difference, but yeah, it means that you will, have less 50 cal than previously. One of the bigger changes is actually coming to the M1A1HC. So you know how this one has access to the dozer blade, which, if you install it, this is what it looks like. So previously, the dozer blade had no additional mass, so it didn't actually increase the mass of the vehicle. Now it does by 2,990 kilos. So there is now a reason to remove it, because now it will affect the actual mobility of your vehicle, which is kind of crazy. They also added in something that's really cool for ATGM launchers. So basically, before, you know how you had to basically fire an ATGM before you could reload another one? This was a problem for vehicles like the Sturm S, also stuff like the BMP-2M and others. Well, now you don't have to. So you see how in the Bradley here, I have this loaded, the TOW2B. Well, all I have to do is click the button for my tandem warhead one, which is the TOW2A, and now it switches and I haven't had to fire any of the missiles. So now you actually keep your missiles on the vehicle itself instead of having to fire them in order to change them. This was a problem that a lot of vehicles had when it came to War Thunder, and this is a massively good change. This really helps stuff like the Sturm S, for example. The Sturm S has access to some weird and wonky missiles like the 9M220 here, which is like a kind of an anti-air missile. It's a kind of HEVT deal, but one of the issues is you had to fire the missile before it reloaded the other one. So now you don't have to do that. It will literally do it without you having to waste a missile. So this is massive. This is huge, and hopefully they can start adding this in for like standard guns in its own way. So that's really awesome, and I'm just super happy that they've actually done that. This is coming in for the M3A3, the Weasel 1A2, the Sturm S, the Chrysanthema S, BMP-2M, the Faris, the 3.5-ton truck SAM-1, the Type 81C, the Type 89 FV, CM25, the Dardo, the VCC Dardo, the PVR BV551, the prototype PVR BV, basically the one which, you know, has the RB top-down one. So yeah, all of those are getting that ability, which is fantastic. A lot of the premium vehicles got some little changes to them, which are coming in. Basically, you can see here that they've actually added a new armor type, which is sand. So, you know, all of those like little pieces of blocks which are on the front of the Sherman, for example, like the Hell Sherman, guess what? They now have blocks attached to them. So technically, this actually has additional armor compared to what it had before, which is really interesting. The fact that they've individually modeled all of this stuff is crazy. By the way, if you want to get any of the pre-orders, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave them all in the description and also a pinned comment. There's a million of them, but yeah, you'll be able to find them there, which is pretty nuts. So they've changed a lot of the kind of external armor on a lot of these vehicles. It's not going to make a massive difference. Like you can see with the sand, right? Its effective thickness is 1 millimeter. Like it's not going to make a huge difference. The tracks are more, you know, that. The jerry cans are not going to do a lot either. But it's just really cool that they've decided to model them. And that's for the Sherman Hell. And then also stuff for the T-3485. They've once again kind of like modified its armor, changing it. You can see now you have individual track links and then also other parts of it individually done too. So I think that's actually really cool and really nice that they've done that. Another vehicle that also had a little bit of a weird setup was the M728. That vehicle, the dozer also didn't add any mass. Now it does. So it's going to be a bit fatter. Now, let's talk about some of the AA changes. There has been a lot of AA changes, and it shouldn't be too surprising that many of them have come in for the new AAs. So what we'll have a look at first is the kind of slam ram system, the M109-7A2. So first of all, they've changed the camera position, so you can actually see a little bit better. You can actually see they've also added in these icons here and also these icons here. So what you can do now is you can spawn 2 launchers and then you can actually switch between them if you want to. And you can enable one and disable one and do whatever you want. So you can actually quick switch between one like this, and then it won't actually, or the idea is it won't take you to the other launcher. Now it doesn't work right now, but I think it's kind of cool that they've done that. Obviously this one is looking pretty juicy in terms of what it has access to. The 40mm armor glass on these things has also been removed right now, and also the turret turning sound was disabled. You can see it's actually a lot quicker at rotating the missiles now compared to what it was before. The 800x600 driver NVD has also been removed on this thing, so that's also another part. And the maximum speed for firing on this is 5 kilometers instead of 2, which it was before. Another thing that this will also do, you can see like it has the thing modeled in the middle of it. It'll actually lower its missiles, so you can like move around normally. But this does mean that you do have a setup time before you're able to fire, which can be a little bit annoying for a vehicle like this. Another thing to also note is they've obviously changed the missiles. So now, instead of them being the C5, they are the C7 missile for the slam ram. And you can see the general stats here, which are available. So overall, you know, the C7 should be pretty good, especially at medium ranges. The AIM-9X does also work now, which is quite nice. So yeah, it's a little bit dodgy in terms of how to fire it. I haven't really figured it out yet. So yeah, just bear with me when it comes to that one, because I can't select it right now. Another thing they've also done is they've changed the UI for the radar itself, but it doesn't seem to be working on this one. Oops, I don't know if I can like select it or not, but no. So just understand that's also something that's moved around for this vehicle and also many others. We'll get into the missile changes in a little bit, but I just wanted to show you what it kind of looks like now and what opportunities you have access to. Other types of things which are kind of fun. So the IRI-ST, so this is this one, the SLM. This is also for the Elder 2. The turret turning sound was disabled on this, and then also the side view was disabled and the NVD was removed. kind of rude. The other part of it, which will actually affect cast players and also, you know, ground players, I suppose, too, is the Strela. So one of the things that was kind of key about the Strela for the longest time, it was really hard to see. And the fact was you could hide it. And obviously the missiles are insanely powerful, especially since they feel like they have the IRCCM sometimes. So the visibility of this vehicle was 65%, which every vehicle has a visibility stat. And you can see here, this basically affects its range of identification and detection. So the way you can see it and scout it, basically. This used to be super low, so only 65. It is now 250%. So you'll be able to see this basically from everywhere. Like it's going to be insanely easy to see, especially if you're dealing with, you know, other aircraft. Just to give you an idea, so the Osa has a 250% visibility, the Tunguska does too, and so does the Panzer. So you can see that this is kind of standard across the board. For some reason, the Strela was just different compared to a lot of the other high-tier AAs. When you start going to lower-tier ones, it starts getting a little bit lower. You can see the ZSU-57 and ZSU-37, but it's pretty much a standard at 250 up here. So, yeah, they'll be easier to deal with now to see. Another vehicle that also got changed for Germany is the 140/1, which is kind of the starter pack vehicle. It's really fun, actually. You should really give it a go. So they reduced its horsepower. It was 160, it's now 150, so it'll be a little bit slower around the place, and funnily enough, its max speed has actually increased, but only by 0.11 kilometers an hour. So I think, in general, it's not really going to change too much. They reduced the amount of 7.92mm ammo, which is on the Churchills, by 3,000, which may sound like a lot, but there's still 7,000, so don't worry about it. The JPZ also lost some engine power since it's the same one as the 140/1. And then also they changed some of the vertical limits of the good old Leopard, but nothing too crazy. Like it's not going to make any difference to the vehicle. Also, all of the other doses for the Leopard 2s, they're also increasing in terms of mass now, which I generally think is pretty good. The 2S19M1 12.7mm is halving its ammo, which kind of sucks. And the Ozelot also lost its stabilizer, which is a little bit weird. It's not really going to make a massive difference to the vehicle, apart from the fact when you are kind of like stopping to shoot a target, it's going to take you a little bit more time to actually get that done. So that kind of sucks a little bit, but it's not a massive deal. Like generally, it just means that you'll have like a few seconds where you have to kind of stabilize, or maybe a second stabilize, and then you'll be able to hit it pretty hard. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. The T-3485E got the updated model. So now all of the T-3485s in the game now have the updated model. One of the things to mention, a lot of people have been asking about the stabilized T-3485, which Gaijin said they were going to add. Understand that that vehicle was never confirmed for the next update. People just thought it would be in the next update. It was confirmed for the future. So we may see it soon in this update, or we may see it in a year, you know, so it's just one of those things to think about. So, but yeah, all of the T-34s now have their updated models. Their armor's been slightly changed, so make sure to check it out when the update comes out so you can see these slight differences. The Falcon also has been changed slightly, and I mean incredibly slightly. We are very much like nitpicking when it comes to stuff like this. The Falcon now has 216 horsepower instead of 213. And at the same time, it has a little bit more max speed and a little bit better reverse, but it's incredibly tiny in terms of what it is. One of the cool things about a lot of the AAs, though, is they did get buffed. We've obviously talked about a few of them already, but the CSSA-5 on the launchers themselves, these things, they can actually go up to 60 degrees now instead of 20 degrees. So if you want to actually fire the missiles and stuff, it's a lot easier to do. The Leopard 4070's visibility also went up to 125%, just to kind of let you know. But this is how high the missiles can go now, which I think is pretty awesome. So the only thing getting in their way really is the hull, and you can see here that it's kind of being sorted out. It still has, you know, the ridiculous gun, and of course the fast locking missiles, which is pretty cool. So you can, you know, basically fire them off all the time. If you want to have a look at the stats once again for these, I don't think they've actually changed them. This is the standard FB10. Remember, there's the FB10 and the FB10A, so that is something which is going to be kind of cool to see. Here is the FB10A stats, if you wanted to see them, with a launch range of 18 kilometers, with an IRCCM. Nuts. The Leclerc MSC has been changed once again. They've changed its armor. I've got a worrying feeling this thing is going to go up in BR. So lower glacis 65, 63 on the upper glacis with 25 thickness, 45 on the turret, and then you can have a look at the upper glacis. This is its composite armor, pretty strong, and then also pretty strong on this side, but it does have holes in it, so don't be too surprised if you can just kind of shoot through it. You have very strong cheek armor. Basically, the center is not as strong, so that's kind of where, you know, people are going to shoot, as usual. It has the rolled homogeneous, where the ammo autoloader is, but yeah, there's quite a lot of armor on this thing, even on the back of it. So the major thing that this vehicle is going to be is good reload, good armor, good mobility, not as good round. And if it goes up in BR, don't be surprised, because the Leclerc is one of those vehicles that it seems like everybody just thinks isn't very good, but it is. Talking about some other kind of French vehicles that are being changed, the MX-13 VTT. This one, its optics are actually being changed. So instead of what it was before, which was 6.83 to 7.53, which is pretty good optics, it's now 1.9 to 3.53. So yeah, kind of got a bit of a hit there. One of the cool things as well about the SPYDER itself actually got some changes. So now they fixed its drowning bug, which is grand. And at the same time, what they've ended up doing is increasing its zoom to a ridiculous level on its optics. So before it was 8 to 12 times, now it's 2 to 27 times. So that is insane. When it comes to a change, that thing is like just flying through in general, which is pretty nuts. So let's talk about the missiles, because, you know, that's obviously something that people have wanted to kind of go through. So let's go through them. Once again, work in progress, yada, 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 all that stuff. Hopefully this ideas will kind of help people out. So if you want to see all of these specific missile changes, you can check the data mine. But first of all, we have the Panzer S1. They're slightly increasing its booster force, slightly lowering its drag coefficient, increasing its max fin AOA, and also increasing its wing area multiplier by a very small amount. So this vehicle and its missile will travel slightly differently, not a huge amount different. The AIM-9X is also getting changed, so you can see it right here. A lot of the hidden stats have been moved around, which is like kind of the big thing with it. First of all, the drag coefficient multiplier has gone from 2.25 to 1.87, which is a massive change. Then also the thrust vectoring angle has been increased by 3 times. The explosive mass has also gone up by 0.2 of a kilo or 0.3 of a kilo. And the explosive penetration has been increased by about 1 millimeter. The orienting phase has been removed. The added guidance start delay of 0.15 seconds, which isn't huge. The lofting has been removed, and the PID values have also been adjusted on this missile. Then you have the AIM-120C5, which has now been renamed the AIM-120C7. It is now an active radar homing IOG DL missile, which is pretty cool. The mass has been increased from 157 to 161, and the mass after booster burn has also been increased by 5 kilos, and the PID values have been adjusted of this. You can also see its missile guidance time is very high, and its launch range is also at 25 kilometers at this moment in time. For the Derby, they have changed its stat card, so now it's known as what it actually is, which is an active radar homing missile. The Python 5 also got some changes, so the drag coefficient got increased by 50%. The distance from CM to stabilizer was also increased, and they also changed this visual model, so it looks like the Python 4 and not the Derby, which I think is generally pretty good. The orienting phase on the Python 5 is 1.25 seconds instead of 2 now, and the elevation addition is 20 meters. They also added lofting to this missile. You can see the launch range is insane for this IR missile. And then also the proportional navigation multiplier is 6 instead of 4, which means that it's way more aggressive in terms of its leading the target. The PID values have also been adjusted on it. So this one is looking pretty good. The next one, of course, is the IRIST, which is the one that I know a lot of people are looking forward to. This one's launch range is now 40 kilometers, as you can see, at least on the stat card. The booster force of it was decreased massively, but just wait 2 seconds before you get mad. So its booster force went from 18,800 newtons to 12,600. So a massive decrease, right? But the booster burn time went up to 12 seconds from 5. So basically, it burns for a lot longer, but it burns with less force. So depending on the calculation, it might actually be better for the vehicle. The sustainer was removed though, and the guidance duration was decreased to 100 seconds instead of 150, and also the speed limit is now 975 instead of 710. And the minimum range used to be 30, it is now 1,000 meters. They also massively increased its loft capabilities, meaning that it should be a lot better at kind of targeting the enemy as it goes in. So this vehicle is, at least when it comes to its weapons, is looking really nice. You can actually have a look at stuff like this. So let's try and target some guys over there. You can watch the missile go, and it turns a lot quicker to start with. It doesn't have to go up as high, and you can see how far it's actually burning compared to what it did before. So basically, this should be a lot better than it was previously. I can actually turn on the radar system on this one just to give you kind of a visual view of what this kind of looks like. So it looks a lot better and a lot more professional compared to what it did previously, right? So you can actually do everything from this menu. You can see the fire special guns. You can, fire from main caliber. You can do all those things with the other one. And then also it shows you the elevation azimuth indicator, the sight view, which I don't know if that works yet. But yeah, and then also you can pick between your launchers that you want to use. So it's looking really cool, right? Like at least that whole setup. And this vehicle as well, at least with it, the missiles are looking a lot better than they were previously. Now, we'll have to see how this affects, like everything, because, I know a lot of people have been worried about these vehicles for a long time, and, obviously they want them coming into the game as strong as possible, and I feel like at the moment, they're looking really, really good in terms of it. So hopefully, going forward, they do definitely improve. I know there is other changes which have happened, which people won't be as happy with, and we'll talk about those in a bit. But this one also can fire all of its missiles at the same time and just bish bash bosh. So if you really want somebody to die, you can do it. Also, these guys get the ammo box too, so you can set that up next to them as well. So that's pretty much all the ground changes as we go around. Look after yourselves. Peace be with you. See you next time.
I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Warthunder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.